Hey guys, I'm doing a video on mutual funds because one of my students requested more details about this particular type of investment, and I've agreed to make a very detailed video, a fairly detailed video on this particular topic. Okay, so let's get started and understand what mutual funds are. Okay, firstly, how does a mutual fund work? I'm sorry, I'm giggling by just looking at my own slide. Um, Firstly, in order to understand how a mutual fund works, remember that not many people have the resources to go about investing in the share market. Okay, not many of us have the resources. When I say resources, I mean mostly monetary resources. Now, if I'm a person who can buy one share of Hero Motors, which if you remember in one of the previous videos, the price of one share of Hero Motors was close to 2000 rupees. Buying one or two shares of a company, any company in fact, no matter how well to do they are, like say State Bank of India or say for example ICICI Bank, Infosys, TCS, buying one or two shares of this company will not give you any good return in the long term. Now, why do most of us, including myself, buy just one or two shares? The reason we do that is because we don't have cash right now in order to buy a large quantity of shares and get the benefit of trading. So instead, what is the platform where we can get good returns and at the same time go about investing in the share market? And there you have the wonderful world of mutual funds. Now, how does mutual funds actually work? Firstly, remember that I am someone who can invest a low amount of money every month. Just like me, there are many others. Okay, there are a lot of people who are like me who can save a small amount of money every month and in turn invest them in the share market. Now, I have another problem here. Even if I want to invest in the share market by saving little amounts of money, I may not have the adequate knowledge to invest in the share market. Okay. We've all heard of the big companies in the news, Reliance, TCS, all of them. But there are so many other companies whom we have never heard of, and still investing in them gives you a very, very good return. Now, I don't have very good knowledge of the market, so instead I would go about taking my investment and giving it to a mutual fund company. Okay, remember, a lot of people like me who can save small amounts of money every month take this money and in turn give it to a mutual fund company. Now here I've chosen SBI Mutual Fund mostly because I have my investment with them. You will see a little bit of my investment in the upcoming slides. So firstly, remember now, a lot of people like me collect money and in turn, or rather save money and in turn invest it in a mutual fund company. Okay. Now, the mutual fund company will create something which is known as a fund. A fund is an investment plan. Okay, when you go about creating a fund, you have a particular objective as to how you want to go about utilizing this investment. Now, you may have come across in the news when a disaster strikes in the country, you have the Prime Minister's Relief Fund. Now, the word fund there represents how is it that the money that's going to be collected there is going to be utilized. And like the name suggests, it's a relief fund, meaning they want to go about using it for relief activities. Every mutual fund company will have different mutual fund plans or mutual fund schemes. Okay, and now based upon your preference, you could choose whatever type of scheme you want and go about investing a small amount of money in that every month. Now, what does the company do with this investment? They collect the money from different people and in turn use this money to invest it in the stock market. Okay. Now the company could use this money for say buying shares, they could use it for buying debentures, they could use it for buying gold, or they could even invest it in the money markets. Okay, there are a variety of options when it comes to mutual funds. I'll explain them in the upcoming slides. Now when they go about investing this money in the stock market generates returns. Those returns are in turn taken by the mutual fund company A part of the profits is retained by the mutual fund company and the rest is given back to the investors. Okay, the rest is given back to the investors. Now this is one of the ideal ways in which a new investor can start putting money into the market. When most of us start investing, we have little or no knowledge when we go about putting money in the market. So I would strongly advise you against investing, say, lakhs of rupees in the market initially. It's ideal to understand how the market works by first learning how mutual funds work. So like the name says, mutual, here you have the benefit which both parties are able to get. Now the mutual fund company is able to mobilize your savings better, and therefore they're able to take the money and in turn put it in the market. The market is able to generate returns, and based on those returns you're able to get your share of the wealth. There the word mutual benefits here happen. Okay, now the mutual fund company is able to have very high quality resources with them in order to manage your investment. You have a particular person called as a fund manager who will be looking after your investment specifically. When you go about putting money into a mutual fund company, you'd first choose what plan you want to put your money in. Each plan or a group of plans will have a mutual fund manager who will in fact be looking after your investment. That mutual fund manager will generate the returns, and those returns are in turn shared between you and the mutual fund company. Okay, the mutual fund company considers your investment in the form of units. Okay, and your portfolio would look something like this. Now as you can see there, we'll look at the first column wherein asset class or scheme is mentioned. In the asset class, the first one that I have there is equity. Next to that you have another column which mentions the cost of investment. Here it means how much of money I invested initially. Okay, then the next column there, this is the most important one, how many units I have subscribed. Okay, now when I'm invested in equity in mutual funds, it is not possible to say how many shares I own, because if I look at it like this, if I am investing 1000 rupees every month, okay, let's say there are just two people who are investing 1000 rupees every month in this particular scheme. Now the two people who are investing 1000 rupees, the total amount of 2000 is collected and one share of Hero Motors is bought. Okay, just one share of Hero Motors is bought. Now it's not possible to divide a share into two different groups. As in, I can't make one half is mine, one half the other. The company cannot sell me half a share. Hero Motors can't sell me half a share. However, what mutual funds companies do is they split your investment into units. More number of units you have, the greater the share you have in the wealth when you go about generating your returns. So it's always advised that you go about continuously saving in a mutual fund scheme and not pull your investment back as soon as you want. Okay, then afterwards you have maturity date. Equity doesn't have a maturity date. The NAV of my investment, I'm not able to read properly, I think that is 48.5. Net asset value. Net asset value here refers to how well the mutual fund is actually doing. Greater the net asset value, the better your mutual fund is doing. Okay, the gain or loss on my investment, the value of my investment as of the present day, that is on the 5th of February. You can see my value is 9,959. Yes, I have made a loss in this particular investment. If you look at the stock market a couple of days back, or since the last week itself, you would notice that my the Sensex has in fact done quite miserably. In fact, borne the brunt of Sensex doing miserably. So hence I've lost some amount of money there, around 40 rupees I've lost there. Dividend earned, the companies where I've bought my shares, I don't know which company I've bought, none of them have apparently generated any dividends, so I haven't really made any profits from there as well. Okay, next to that you have transact here, purchase, redeem, switch, SIP, SWP and STP. I'll explain in detail SIP, SWP and STP later. but the ones that you have on the other side. Okay, purchase, redeem and switch. Purchase means here I can buy more units of SBI Magnum Equity Fund, the one that you see there in the first column. Redeem means I want to withdraw my investment. In case, let's say for about a month or so, until say mid-March, I notice that my investment is doing pretty badly. 9,959 has gradually sunk to say 9,800. If I'm unable to bear this loss, or if I feel, okay, I don't want to invest this money here again, let me take it back in the form of cash. I can always keep an order wherein I can redeem my investment and the money is given back to me within 3 working days. Okay. Then you have switch. Assuming that I am not satisfied with the equity investment, I always have an option where I can switch my investment to something else. Say I can put it in debentures, or I can put it in gold. Any of the other choices that are there, I have the option to switch to that. Okay. Now, I mentioned before that there are many types of mutual fund schemes. Okay. So let's just look at the bird's eye view as to how many major heads of schemes are there. Okay. First you have equity. Okay. Equity funds always look at the share market. Okay. Debt funds, debentures, liquid funds, money market, fixed maturity plans, FMP, fund of funds, that's a bit of a complicated contract. It's referred to as exchange traded funds. Don't worry about it, I'll do a separate video on that. NFO refers to new fund offer. That's when a company introduces a new type of mutual fund scheme. You are able to invest in a new scheme and get the benefit of early bird returns. So that's something that you have when it comes to new fund offers. Let me just consider one head in that and show you how many further options you have in each head. I picked debt funds there, and just look at the different number of plans you have in each of those debt funds. Let's just look at a couple of them here. SBI Benchmark GSEC Fund, regular plan hyphen dividend, the second one that you have there. Here your your money gets collected and is in turn invested in government securities. GSEC here refers to government securities. Okay, and there you have a dividend being given. Now dividend here is not really possible to get dividend in government securities, but what they mean here is the interest that you earn on your investment is in turn reinvested into the investment back again. Think of it like this: I have a government security of face value 1,000 rupees. I'm earning 7% rate of return on this. Okay, 7% I'm earning on this. Okay, 7% here means 70 rupees is what I'm earning on this investment. 7% of 1,000 is in fact 70 rupees. Now when I mention dividend, I get two options here. One, I could get that money credited into my account, or I have another option. The 70 rupees that's going to be there could be in turn added to my investment, and I could buy more units in this mutual fund scheme. So that's what they mean when it comes to dividend. Growth means all the money gets accumulated, and once the plan matures, remember debt funds actually have a maturity point there. So once they mature, I'm able to get back everything. Okay. Now let's look at another one, equity. Equity is a little interesting because the various types of equity choices that you have. Like you have one there which is called SBI Emerging Business Fund. Emerging businesses are companies which are into these new type of industries, like for example entertainment. Okay, you have a lot of companies today, like for example Balaji Telefilms. These companies go about making soap operas, reality shows. All that is now considered as a emerging business fund. Okay, even education for that matter is considered to be emerging business fund. So your money gets collected and shares of these companies, Balaji Telefilms, education companies like Treehouse Education, all of their shares are bought, is what this fund tries to tell you. Okay, then you have other types like SBI FMCG fund. FMCG, Unilever, companies which are into the business of FMCG, those shares are in fact bought. So you can see how long the list actually is. I've in fact taken a very small screenshot of the choices that you have there. If you look at that scroll bar, you can actually see how further down it goes. So mutual funds have got a variety of choices. In fact, if you've seen the advertisement of Birla Mutual Funds, the three people who are discussing on the types of tea that they want to have, for something as basic as tea, you have a dozen choices. Now mutual funds as well, dozen happens to be an understatement. You can see how lengthy this actually goes. Okay, one more. A bit of a taboo for me to discuss gold market, because once upon a time I was always under the impression that this is the best market to put my investment. And I remember this day in my investment days wherein a big chunk of my investment was wiped out in one day. So it was a fairly black day for me when that happened. Gold here, the advantage of gold investment here is, one, you're not buying physical gold. You are only betting on the prices of gold going up and down. I am not buying physical gold here. I don't have any gold biscuits, I don't have any gold chains, I don't have any gold coins, none of that. What happens here is, when you want to invest in the regular gold market, the bullion gold market, many people invest lakhs together and buy several hundred grams of gold at once. Now for most of us it's not possible to buy that. Now what can happen here is, when you go about putting money into SBI gold fund or any gold fund for that matter, a minimum investment of just 1000 rupees can give you the benefits of the gold market going up or down. The reason that happens because, if you go back to the previous slides, I mentioned that many people like me contribute an equal amount every month, and when that happens, you are able to get economies of scale. Hundreds of people contribute 1000, and the mutual fund manager buys gold in the market, electronic gold in this case. The prices of electronic gold in fact goes up, returns are generated, those returns are in turn given to me and people like me who have invested in their savings into this mutual fund plan. Now gold as of now, according to me, is not a very well-to-do market. So as glittery as the market is, my advice is no, keep away from it for now. Okay, this is just a basic presentation I've given you about mutual funds. There are a lot more which I can discuss, especially how the mutual fund manager in fact trades, how the returns is actually generated, how do you calculate net asset value. I'll do them in another video. Thank you for your time. I hope this video was informative. Have a nice day.